to remember. Let's go to the next question. Acute pulmonary edema is there. Which drug you cannot use? You can use furosemide as a diuretic. Morphine you can use if it is that edema is because of the cardiogenic pulmonary edema. To allege the apprehension of the myocardial infarction, you can use if the pulmonary edema is cardiogenic in nature. Aminophylline can be used in order to relieve the bronchospasm which is induced by the acute pulmonary edema. There is no role for the subcutaneous adrenaline. Which two drugs you should never give in a patient who has got a congestive heart failure with a pulmonary edema, doctor? You should never give nifedipine, that is the calcium channel blocker, and the non-dihydropyridines calcium channel blocker should not be given, is the golden rule. They increase the mortality is something that you should not forget. Now, when do you call that the patient is having pulmonary edema because of cardiogenic nature, doctor? By checking the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. And whenever you are treating the pulmonary edema of cardiogenic nature, all your goal is to bring it down to 15 to 18 millimeters of mercury to achieve this pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, which is a marker of which chamber pressure? Left atrial chamber pressure. Similarly, cardiac index need to be increased to greater than 2.2 liters per minute. This is going to be your goal in the management of the pulmonary edema is what I want to underscore. Let's go to the next question. Multiple myeloma. Will it cause polycythemia or will it cause anemia? Anemia, raised ESR, diffuse body aches, all these things are classically seen in the case of the multiple myeloma. Along with the lytic lesions, hypercalcemia will be occurring. Do you find alkaline phosphatase rise? You don't find classical unless the lytic lesions are healing. Only that time you come across is what need to be remembered. What is the difference between multiple myeloma and heavy chain disease, doctor? Lytic lesions in the bone are not that characteristically seen in the case of the heavy chain disease, unlike the condition that is in the multiple myeloma. That is one important differentiating feature. What is the common cause for the death in a patient who has got multiple myeloma, doctor? Infections is one common cause. Renal failure is the second important cause for the death in the case of the multiple myeloma. When do you call multiple myeloma? When the plasma cells in the bone marrow occupy greater than what percentage of the total cellular moiety of the bone marrow? Greater than 30%. Earlier criteria, now greater than 10% is a recent criteria. Very good. Perforation of the bowel in the enteric fever is a complication in the third week. Typically, patient with enteric fever will be recovering, 2 weeks will be passing. By the time he is going into third week, suddenly he develops abdominal pain, rigidity, guarding with the GI bleed. You should think of possibility of perforation as a complication. Now, which is the autosomal dominant inheritance disorder among them, doctor? Von Willebrand's disease, in which bleeding time is prolonged and also the clotting time is prolonged. Now, I like to ask you a question. Von Willebrand has got different types, type 1, 2 and 3. Which is most severe and lethal form? Type 3. It is the autosomal recessive form is what I want to underscore to all of you. And if I ask you a question tomorrow, sentence, this question is going to come. Most common hereditary bleeding disorder. Don't answer it as hemophilia. It is von Willebrand's disease is what I want to underscore to all of you. In type 1 von Willebrand's disease, clinical symptoms are very mild. It is autosomal dominant. There is a quantitatively, there is a decrease and qualitatively normal von Willebrand factor. Production is decreased but quality is normal for the von Willebrand factor. And out of the 5 known types of the type 2 von Willebrand, there are 5 subtypes. Out of them, the type 2A type of subtype is most common, and most of the other subtypes of type 2 are basically autosomal dominant, but type 2C also is autosomal recessive. So only 2 types of von Willebrand are autosomal recessive, doctor. Type 3 and type 2C. All the remaining types of the von Willebrand, type 1, type 2A, type 2B, type 2D, type 2D is not there, type 2M, type 2N, all these things are basically autosomal dominant is what need to be remembered. Now I'll give you one similar question. Take up this challenge, doctor. Regarding the coagulation, try to qualify all these statements. In the von Willebrand's disease, is the platelet count is normal? Definitely. There the bleeding time is prolonged not because of a low platelet count, it is because of the functional disorder. Continued bleeding from the venipuncture side, does it suggest hemophilia? In hemophilia, is it a kind of what you call presentation? From the venipuncture side, continuous bleeding is a sign of platelet dysfunction or clotting factor dysfunction? Platelet dysfunction. It is much more common with the platelet dysfunction, not with the hemophilia. With hemophilia, what you get is hemarthrosis. Joint bleeds are much more common is what need to be remembered. PT, is it normal or abnormal in factor V deficiency? 2, 5, 10 is the common pathway. 2 into 5 is equal to 10. So there is a reason you need to remember both PT and APTT are prolonged in 2, 5, 10 deficiency. Factor 8 is what you see in hemophilia. So there it is APTT which become prolonged. Only one factor is important for the PT, that is factor 7, which comes in the extrinsic pathway. So that is the reason, doctor, PT is normal in hemophilia where factor 8 deficiency is there. There only APTT is prolonged. Whereas in the case of factor 5 deficiency, which is a part of the common pathway, 2, 5, 10, both the PT and also APTT, because factor 5 comes in the common pathway. That is the reason both PT and APTT are abnormal. That is what need to be basically remembered. And let's go to the next question. One more similar question I want to give you. Out of this, which are called hemoglobinopathies, doctor? Thalassemia, sickle cell disease. Spherocytosis is not called hemoglobinopathy. It is a membrane defect is what need to be remembered. Let's go to the next question. What are all the anabolic steroids, doctor? Nandrolone, oxymethylone, but not ethyl estradiol. The remaining things are anabolic. How do you treat acute myocardial infarction? Only streptokinase or plus aspirin? Both the things need to be given, streptokinase plus aspirin. You may ask me, can we use angioplasty in acute MI? Then what type of angioplasty it is called as? Primary PTCA. Primary PTCA means immediately you will be placing in a patient whose ST is elevated, ST segment is elevated, no waiting, no talking. Take him to the lab and then place it and then open it up and then place repair that coronary and then come out. That is called primary PTCA. Just like immediately after housemanship you got into the MD means it is primary PTCA. You waited for some time, 1 year passed, streptokinase was received 2-3 times, then finally you got, finally everyone gets, please remember that is the rule. Only thing is you need to wait until you get it and you need to read until you get it. They are the 2 rules, which is difficult. So let's go to the next question. Pulmonary I'll give you a similar question. Pulmonary artery wedge pressure is increased in all these conditions except one condition. Where do you don't come across a raised pulmonary capillary wedge pressure? Acute MI, it is increased. In the case of the mitral stenosis, because left atrium pressures are increased, which are assessed by the PCWP. That is the reason it is elevated. Aortic regurgitation also it will elevate, but not in the case of the pulmonary stenosis. In all the remaining conditions it is elevated is what I want to underscore to all of you. Let's go to the next question. Yeah, microcytic anemia. So one of the questions among the 2 tables will come in the Indian entrance, doctor. So please remember, orotic aciduria, other than that thalassemia, hookworm disease, pyridoxine deficiency, you find the microcytic anemia. So you are going to carry 2 chits, one for microcytic in the upper pocket and one in the macrocytic lower pocket. Exam mein khatam karke, throw it off. So that is very important. Then which is the disease modifying agent in the rheumatoid arthritis is my question to all of you. So please remember, doctor, treatment of the rheumatoid arthritis is a stepwise process. That young lady who has come with morning stiffness, asking you, what shall I do, doctor? Ask her to take the rest of the joints. Salicylate shall be given. NSAIDs need to be prescribed. Still, if there is an indication and the disease is further progressing, then there is a need to introduce the disease modifying agents. Now, what are all the agents which are called disease modifying agents? Methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, gold, penicillamine, sulfasalazine, cyclosporin, minocycline, azathioprine, and the recent drugs, leflunomide, infliximab, etanercept, these are all called as the disease modifying agents is what I want to underscore. That means if you give these drugs, you can tell that lady, don't worry, I have given something that halts the progression of your disease. But one important difference you have to appreciate. There is one entity called juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, all of you know very well. That is a rheumatoid factor negative kind of JRA. In JRA you are having 3 types. What are they? Oligoarticular, polyarticular, systemic onset. And what is that syndrome you will remember in relation to JRA, doctor? Yes? Which syndrome do you remember? Felty? Something to do with splenomegaly, with leukopenia, with any of the inflammatory joint disease? Felty? So, this For example, if you take the recent exams, reactive arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, Behçet's disease, one question invariably comes. You can take it as my word that you need to be doubly sure about what is seen in what. The difference between JRA versus that of the adult onset RA is penicillamine, gold and antimalarials have got a wonderful effect in adult onset RA but not in the case of the juvenile RA. This important difference need to be appreciated. Now I will give you 2-3 questions which are potential MCQs in the tomorrow's exam. We talked about adalimumab. What is the mechanism of action of it for this rheumatoid arthritis drug? Please remember, it is a recombinant human IgG1 monoclonal antibody. It will go and attack this tumor necrosis factor and it will prevent the tumor necrosis factor which is increased in a rheumatoid arthritis inflammation to not show its inflammatory effects. So this acts like an antibody against the tumor necrosis factor which is increased in the patients who have the rheumatoid arthritis. So don't forget this drug, doctor. Adalimumab is what need to remember. AB is basically for antibody, okay, monoclonal antibody, MAB. Now one more important drug you need to remember is anakinra is the very important drug. It selectively inhibits the interleukin 1 and it prevents the IL-1 from binding to the IL-1 receptor, that is a mechanism of action. It is typically used in the case of rheumatoid arthritis, another important drug. Then leflunomide, I think all of you know very well, one of the most recent drugs for the rheumatoid arthritis. It inhibits the inflammatory cells from getting proliferated and it will reduce the inflammation. So those patients who are having a erosive type of joint disease, in them you will be using this drug leflunomide. So leflunomide, anakinra and adalimumab are the 3 important drugs which you should not basically forget.